All right. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going?
Not too bad. Sorry I missed Tuesday. Tuesday was a bit of a day.
Yeah, a hard one.
Yeah, just closing up all the final stuff for work in the building, and things drag, and lots of lawyers involved, and it just got to tell you the least difficult part about running a startup so far is literally just operating.
Just the day to day.
It's the most fun part. Yeah, it's all of the other stuff I can see why people literally go crazy doing. So again, I apologize to those that watch. That's on me. Hopefully at the end of this week, it'll all be over. We can go back to consistent Tuesdays.
Well, sounds like you need to potentially one day hire someone to do those shitty jobs.
We actually have a team of people from the legal department. It's just one of those things. Yeah, I never really understood, although I wanted to, when people get into this stuff. And I'm sure in a lot of ways you can relate to it with your wife, right? Where people are like, well, it's not for everybody, or if it's easy, everybody would do it. And you're like, oh, okay. So, it's going to be tough. You get like 80% down the rabbit hole and you're like, holy shit.
People sell you on the vision on how great it will be, but to do the work to get there, and even if you might not ever really get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might just be someone's one ideal scenario that worked out that way, but no two businesses are obviously the same.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we had an episode on Tuesday, and before we start, I want to address a mistake I made previous review.
What?
We were talking about the X-Wings, and I assumed they automatically weren't New Republic and they were like being used by bounty hunters or mercenaries or whatever. Yep. But I went back because my kids are watching the show and they obviously aren't watching it at 9:00 when they debut. So I've been watching the next day with them, and they got New Republic logos all over them. So they were they were the space cops. So it wasn't Carson Teva for a change, which was nice.
Yeah.
He's not the only X-Wing pilot patrolling the galaxy.
He's not the one guy doing the entire galaxy.
Yeah. So their budget afforded for 2 more of them. So so this week's episode, I don't know even how to think about this one. It was definitely, I don't know if I wanted to say the word strange or different, but first off, it picks up with them basically coming into At-Aten, or what they think is At-Aten. And you can see all the platforms around the planet, which is probably what creates the barrier. But since you could see them, I'm assuming obviously not operating. And they make a comment that they do have interactions with other worldly people for munitions and stuff like that. But that's about it. So it sounds like the galaxy at large kind of leaves this planet alone. Yeah. It's kind of a carbon copy of At-Aten, but their civilization,
cool.
Their civilization went a lot different. It kind of reminds me of I'm currently also watching Silo right now. Okay. And what happened in the main Silo and versus the Silo we're seeing now, the populations have completely diverged, with one ending in catastrophe and the other one bordering on that. Whereas we see on this planet, one is still a utopia. Yeah. But this one is very much a war-torn planet.
Does it make you think, and not to jump too far ahead, and I won't obviously throw too many spoilers out, but in the last episode, there was the really cool owl type thing, and they talked about the circle of planets that were hidden. Does it lead you to believe that all of these are kind of carbon copies of each other?
Now that we've seen this one, yes. And when we flash forward to the end in the supervisor's tower or whatever, the planet coordinates and names are carved on the 8 pillars in the room. Yeah, and they all start with at. It was like at something.
Yeah,
right?
At Artesia, at Akron, which is where they are now, and yeah.
So it very much seems like they were almost. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with these. Were these planets different experiments on isolated populations and how to do things? But it's interesting, all the houses look like they literally went into an identical house to what Neil grew up in, right? You know, there's their school, like everything there was essentially a carbon copy. So it makes you seem like maybe the planets aren't 100% the same, but they probably chose planets with the same like ecosystem.
Yep. Same climate, same ecosystem, same basic layout. Yep.
Yeah. And then I thought the thing also that I liked about this episode, because in our previous review, one of my gripes was how do they not have the hyperspace coordinates for the planet? The computer should have had it. It makes no sense. And now we see in this episode why they don't. Um,
Yep.
for the captain obviously was looking for the treasure, found the clue or how to get to the treasure, and he wiped his tracks as he was getting there. As we can see, the coordinates for that pillar have been wiped off. And my guess is he's been to 6 of those or the rest of those worlds and has done the same thing.
Yep.
And then has told 33 that no matter what, if anyone asks about the at Atna or whatever, you must destroy them. And
Yep.
that programming has not been able to be overridden, because it's probably like, don't respond to the captain. Just anyone who says this, like it is a base program, like that's a threat.
Yep.
So that would make sense why.
Does make me wonder who the captain was. Or
yeah, well, it makes sense why 33 didn't know where it was. Now you could probably assume like the ship's computer, they probably wiped it when they got there. I guess. So I guess it ties it up a bit. So I feel less, plot hole-ish about that. But yeah, like, I don't know, like the captain may have just been a greedy pirate. You know what I mean? Found all the treasure for himself, and like you can see the skeletons. Like it looks like him and his first mate or a crew member got in a fight and they killed each other.
Yeah.
And did greed set in, and one wanted it all for themselves, and they fought and they both killed each other. So
yeah,
I think those, that plot line is becoming a lot more clear. I mean, we kind of suspected it was going that similar way anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the planets are still probably the biggest mystery in the show.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'd even say Jude Law is still a bit of a mystery as far as what he is, because he could obviously use the Force.
We have no idea what this guy's all about.
No, he's been called Crimson Jack. He's been called Captain whatever he was in the first episode. He can use the Force. Like he
refers to himself as Dodge or something like that.
Jar Narwood or something like that.
No, and he's being assaulted by... When he's being assaulted by 33, he's like, it's Jod. It's Jod.
Yeah,
it's
Jod. Yeah. Well, I think that's his real first name. It's like Jod.
Oh, got it.
Whatever it is. Yeah. That was like the name. That's if you look in the credits, that's what he's as.
Okay.
But yeah, I think him and the planets right now are the biggest intrigue probably for the show. Again, kid wise, they got plot armor. We know they're getting home.
Yep.
But what did you think about the overall arc on this planet, dealing with two warring factions, mostly kids involved? Well, looks like a lot of kids are involved in the war, and just Neil has those kind of conversations with the one daughter being like, I grew up, all I know is fighting. He's like, well, sometimes I fight my brother. Two obviously very different perspectives on life from probably two people the same age.
I liked it. I thought it illustrated... I actually enjoyed the episode in general. I liked the side quest. I think that they took an episode that in the past Disney has done a very poor job with what we would call a filler episode.
Yeah.
And I thought that they did a much better job tying into the actual story. Like, how many times have we done reviews on this stuff where we're like, cool, but that literally had nothing to do with anything at all. Yeah. Whereas you can see they're starting to learn from that, and they're tying stuff in no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked it. And the one thing we've kind of asked for, like, again, I don't really necessarily want to call it filler, but like you said, like the side quest kind of episode, show us something new. And I think they did that in this episode for sure. I liked, there's a moment where Neil's trunk was shaking. I don't know if you noticed that. He was like curled up in a ball and his trunk's just going rattling back and forth. I thought it was a neat touch. They really did a good job. They did a really solid job with his, whether it's practical or CGI. I don't even know. I'm assuming it's practical.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But sometimes I'm annoyed because you can't see his mouth speaking. So sometimes I feel uncomfortable, but I'm always watching when it's on an angle or something like that, or the trunk like lifts a little bit, his mouth's moving for sure. So it's,
Mhm.
the details are very, very well done
Oh,
with
for
the
sure.
characters anyways. And other than that, like I didn't see any other little like lore bits or something like that. I thought it was just like we just said, it was like a neat little side quest on how these kids' lives, could have been a lot different in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think they did such a good job with the message.
What
Because
do they
like
do with
seeing these two people, and your weakness is also your
Yeah.
kindness, and my planet needs more kindness, and I mean you can take that at surface, or you can take that into so many things right now, right? So I think the
that is an
execution
interesting
of
point.
it
Yeah,
was
like
well done.
like my tribe would be weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But she obviously can see that the kindness, she hasn't seen that before,
yep.
and vice versa, right? So definitely interesting parallels and shading like that between the two things.
Not really something we've seen them try and accomplish.
Yeah,
Again, like this is a new bit for some of these shows. That's not something we've seen kind of happen to show those parallels.
yeah.
And I genuinely think they did a great job with it.
What do you think happens with 33 now that he kind of went into killer mode? Do you think it's as simple as they just restart him, and he, as long as they don't ask about Atten, he doesn't go crazy again?
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a big coming out party for KB on this one. She's obviously extremely intelligent. She's super skilled.
Yeah, she mentioned it's only 1,000 circuits, or I
There are
can't
100
remember what she
million
said.
circuits. That's it.
Yeah. Or do they, while he's powered down, try to reprogram and rewire him so they could just access his memories? But he's obviously now the key, because the Owls map didn't work, and the going to the planets isn't going to work because they've wiped out the coordinates on each one. So the key is,
Well, no, they've only wiped out
33.
the coordinates on Atten. So I wonder if they're going to take the next few episodes and start planet jumping.
Well, I'm assuming all those planets, the pirate already did that with 33.
Yeah, maybe.
Like if he went
but
to that
they
one,
would turn into they would turn into really
though,
neat. Like if we could see 4 different mirrors of Atten as they make their way around, that would actually I'd be kind of down with that. Like I'd be
little
looking
independence
forward
of what happened on this world. Yeah, that'd be an interesting take.
Because I don't think you're going to see 2 that are the same. Like we saw at Akron, that was Warren Torn. You might see something totally different on Taze or whatever it was.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I just assumed because in that room he would have had the coordinates to all the planets. Yeah. So he could have went and wiped them all out, would be my guess. But
he only because they had coordinates to others. It was only at Atten that it was worn out.
Yeah, but he could have went to all the other planets and wiped out that pillar and all the rooms. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. You want to give this one a score? What do you got?
I'm going to 8.
You're going 8?
I'm going to 8-0 only because I think it's probably the best job I've seen with a filler episode before.
Yeah. I think I'll go
doing the tie-in. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think I'll go like 7-7. Like I think it was solid. Like nothing too exciting. You know what I mean? Like for Star Wars, you're thinking adventure and stuff like that. And
it's fair.
Even though it's 2 warring factions, no one actually really fights.
Yeah.
Not that I need fighting to be a great episode, but
what would have taken it to 8 for you?
I don't know.
What's the one thing they could have done in this episode? Like, would you have liked to have seen a little bit of battle and then?
I think it's a solid episode.
Then Crimson Jack do some sort of forced work, or what would have taken that to 8? Because I really enjoyed the story development. I thought the kids did a great job. The bond between Neil and the daughter of the tribe was really cool. I really liked the Fern and Win, or whatever his name is, scene where, instead of, giving each other the gears and being annoyed at each other, he's so genuine. He's like, I would not have got us this far. And I know you're going to figure it out. And like it's hard to remember, like, these are kids. These are genuine kids that they've got into this role.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we look back at the last series that we reviewed, which was The Acolyte, best fight scenes by far, so cool. But these were grown ass adults who have all been in a bunch of stuff, and all we could hear about was how poorly executed the characters were.
I think you can make some arguments. Some of these kids are acting better than the adults.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I think it's important for both of us to not lose sight, you know, even in these episodes that don't take us, you know, that big step closer to the end, to just acknowledge what a great job they're doing. Like they're so genuine. You can tell they have great kind of, I hate to use the term, but like on-screen chemistry between them. Like they've really settled into their roles. And, you know, I don't want to, you know, see these scores start to drop off because we were expecting a big bang. I think that there were some incredibly good steps forward for Disney with kind of the topics that they captured in this one, and just what a great job the characters did themselves. And Jude Law is growing on me. Like, I know we can't figure him out. We have no idea what he's all about yet, but he's doing such a good job of dancing that line. It's not bad.
I will say the one thing I thought I enjoyed, and whether it was clever or not, is so the episode title is "I Can't Say I Remember No Aten."
Yeah.
He literally says that line. Like, how many times do you think he says in the episode? Like 10 times.
Oh yeah.
Which I like, because it was like that is the main point of the episode. Like, someone has to figure out why he's saying that, right? And it ends up paying off in the end. So I thought that was a nice little touch on storytelling as well.
Yeah.
So
overall,
it's definitely solid episode. Kids are doing a bang up job. Like I said at the beginning, I don't even know how I really felt. It was such a unique Star Wars episode. I've never really seen much like that in Star Wars, so maybe it hits.
There was definitely a little Indiana Jones feel in there. Yeah, it definitely had some indie feel. There's no doubt.
Yeah, no, solid attempt. All right, I want to take a second out of Star Wars and do a little plug.
All right.
You know I never do plugs.
No, you're not a big plugger.
No, this one is for the fellas. And for those who don't know, my wife is a fertility doctor specialist, so to speak, has a podcast, is killing it. But on YouTube, the videos are just a little slower uptaking than the regular podcast. So in my description is a link to the channel. If you want to support, she's like 10 away from 1,000, gets her to monetization, be sweet. And this is my message to the dudes, though. If you are and your partner are trying to conceive, this podcast is literally like, what's the word I'm looking for? Priceless to you, so to speak. The amount of free knowledge and nuggets you get on, you know, how to track your cycle, blah, blah, how to get blood work done to know where your hormones are and stuff like that, goes through everything. And fellas, I got to say, dudes typically suck in this department and think it's all the women. And a lot of times it is, well, it's 50-50, obviously. Male fertility is trending downward, right? So if you want to give your partner a awesome Christmas gift, do a little research on your fertility, because that journey can be quite lonely, so to speak.
Stressful, lonely,
and very stressful.
And
it's not something people talk about with their friends. You know what I mean? So it's a place, it's a community. It's got everything for anyone who's interested in that type of stuff. And so just a valuable resource.
And I mean, I obviously didn't know that you were going to make this plug. I mean, I've known your wife for 13 years now. And I will say that her ability to communicate in a way that would make anybody feel comfortable is there aren't many people that do it better. So as much as this might seem like a very uncomfortable conversation, your wife has the ability to communicate with both genders so extremely well. I mean, I've never, like, she tackles conversations that would make most people very, very awkward and uncomfortable. And your wife does an incredible job of being knowledgeable, but also being warm to the extent that it's very inviting for conversation. So obviously I can't speak to the stuff that she does. We have a dog and 2 cats and a building. But I will say that if there is anybody watching this who is looking at making that journey, it's okay to be the person that reaches out. I mean, the voice and the person on the other end is literally one of the best humans I've met. So
if hearing the word egg white discharge doesn't make you squeamy, then you'll feel great listening. And I will say, I know plugging and stuff like that, it might feel like it's like this little corner rinky dink podcast. It is quite big. She gets 20,000 downloads a month. It's just on YouTube. We're trying to grow the video portion of it, and just the YouTube growth's been a little slow. That's all.
All right.
Yeah. So that's in the description. The other thing in the description too is my sports channel. If you want to hear me rant about the Jets and how, for example, Madden video games are running their front office right now.
Trash.
I have a couple videos on that, ripping them a new one. Anyways, did you hear about it, Ged?
No.
So obviously the Jets have insane things that always happen to them, and this season, like tons of it, obviously. All season long.
The biggest issue is they had a lot of loft. They had a lot of loft issues.
Well, okay, get this.
Lack of talent.
Well, the Jets are a team of, like, we're home of the butt fumble. We're home of, like, Geno Smith, our starting quarterback. A defensive or specials team are punching him in the face and breaking his jaw before the season started. Like, we have, like, stuff like that happened.
Oh, yeah, it's not good.
This most recent one, though. So Jerry Jeudy, receiver for the Broncos, got traded to the Browns, fifth and sixth round pick. Like for a former first rounder, that's peanuts, right? To take a risk on someone who has like a high talent.
Yeah.
Who is viewed as a high talent and is still 25 years old. The Jets were in the running with Cleveland, and they pulled out of the negotiations. And we just figured, they weren't willing to meet the price, whatever it was. It came out today that their owner, Mr. Woody Johnson, the Nepo baby himself, heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune, vetoed the trade. So he was involved in nixing a trade involving basically a fifth round draft pick, which is like little potatoes. If the owner wants to get involved, I get it. If you're going to sign, $100 million plus contract, you might want to run it past the owner who's paying it. But if you're flipping a fifth round pick for a project, like, what the owner, for one, doesn't need to get involved in that. And then secondly, it comes out that he vetoed the trade because his teenage son told him that Judy's Madden rating in the video game wasn't high enough and that he wasn't a good player. So now the team that I cheer for, the incompetence level is we're making decisions. So the front office can't make a decision because the owner's telling them what to do. The owner is being told what to do by his teenage son, and the teenage son is being influenced by a video game. That's how they're running a team.
What could possibly go wrong?
You're basically saying the developers at EA, Electronic Arts, are better at scouting NFL talent than everyone in the NFL.
I mean, it might not be horribly wrong, but
their numbers are just based on what the players did the year before. You know what I mean? And like some projection, if it's a rookie, they should get better. If it's a vet, there's going to be decline. It's all just an algorithm. But yeah. And then apparently him and his sons go in the Jets locker room and tell players they suck to their face.
Awesome.
Like you can't make it up. I want to not be a fan of this team.
There's plenty of room on the Bills bandwagon, baby. You don't even have to leave the state. We will welcome you with open arms.
I just need the other NFL owners to Dan Snyder Woody out of there and force him to sell the team to someone competent who's not going to meddle and who doesn't have kids who play video games.
Well, if you want to go into a real topic, we should talk TGL. Do some research. Launching January 5th. Indoor Simulator Golf League. I might be a little biased. Super excited.
All right. I'll have you on the sports channel. I'll do a little research. I'll let you know.
All right, then.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Peace out, and we will see you hopefully Tuesday night.
You'll see us.